Welcome to Garage Gym Athlete Ask Me Anything. It's pretty simple. I'll be answering questions from the thousands of athletes that follow our daily programming. If you have a question or topic you want submitted, go to garagegymathlete.com/AMA. Let's get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hey, man.
I sound like you kind of said AMA.
I was, hey, man. Hey.
Yeah, well, we are doing an AMA as we do. So this one, it's kind of a question. It was like very open-ended. It was straight up just planes of movement, period, benefits from how to training each. So they wanted to kind of know what are the different human planes of movement and how do we train them? What are the benefits of such? And I would love for you to I'll kind of jump into some of this stuff. So we got 3 human planes of movement. So there's the frontal plane, the transverse plane, and the sagittal plane. And the best way to think about this, or a way that's helped me, is if you were to take a board, like a big lifting board or something like that. I'm trying to think of the actual, like a floorboard, something, just a big rectangle, if you will. Everything's in lifting terms to me and not what it would actually be called. Plywood. There you go. Big piece of plywood. Sorry for the idiot moment there. But if you were to take that piece of plywood, and you were to put it down, like split in between your eyes, and so the board's out in front of you, that would be your sagittal plane. And so what you have to think about is like, okay, at the front of that board, what movements could you do? So you could do a barbell movement. You could do like a barbell clean, a deadlift, and things like that. That would be your sagittal plane. Now, if you're to take that board and lay it flat and let it cut you through the waist, now where's the edge of the board? The edge of the board is all around you. So you can do movements that are on the edge of the board. So that would be twisting and turning. That's your transverse plane. Now, if you were to cut your, move the board back up and cut your, like, in between the ears down, like in half, right down through the shoulders, then you would have your frontal plane. And, frontal plane movements, anything that can be done on the outer edges of that board. So whether that is a lateral raise, side lunges, whatever it is, things that are done to the outside. That's how my brain thinks of it. I don't know if that helped anybody. But so you do have frontal, transverse, and sagittal. So sagittal movements that occur in forward and backward motion, anterior, posterior, things like squat, calf raises. Frontal plane movements that occur in the side of the body, lateral, medial, and then transverse plane, rotational movement. And that is, those are the planes of movement. And it's important because a lot of the times where people end up getting injured is, it could be for a number of reasons, like too much volume or whatever. What I see a lot of the times is a lack of focus on these planes of movement. And it's happened to me in the past when it's real easy to only train that sagittal plane. So we're only running, and we're only doing deadlifts, and we're only doing press, and we're only doing, squat, things like that. You could honestly only ever be in the sagittal plane and have like a pretty solid fitness program. But what you're developing are a lot of weaknesses or imbalances that are going to be a problem later. And that's why people, like, I hurt my back. I'd say tweaked my back, not a real hurt my back. After only probably having trained in the sagittal plane when I just like reached down to pick something up, but there was a twist involved with it because I was never really doing any transverse movement. And I'm like, how can I deadlift 500 pounds, run a, 530 mile, but then my back hurts when I twisted sideways and pick something up. And that led me down to a lot of study of just the different planes of movement, because they hit it in a lot of these certification courses and whatever. But unless you're like, a real, like a doctor of physical therapy, you don't get in some in-depth training on this stuff in basic fitness certifications, no matter which level of certification you're trying to get. So anyway, they're really important to really minimize those imbalances. You have anything else to say on that stuff, Joe?
So it reminds me of, I always like to bring lacrosse into this, but, with our programming and stuff, we do a whole lot of running, just regular running, forward running. But as soon as I step onto a field, I'm doing a lot of lateral running and going sideways. And after even just like one regular, like 30, 60 minute game, my adductors and groin are way more sore than I'm ever used to because I'm going sideways and twisting and doing that lateral movement. So the different using different planes that I'm not used to because I'm not just running forward.
Yeah, and I think the way you're training it is like the preferred method in my opinion, because what we do and how we program it is, we'll put a Russian twist in the programming and some other things just to make sure we're getting enough transverse plane. We're doing things out to the side, so we're getting frontal plane. Like we kind of doing it via checklist. And it helps. Don't get me wrong, it definitely helps. But what you're doing is dynamic. You're like real like fast movement side to side and all these things, and there's only really one way to train that, and it's to do things like playing sport. So I think using your fitness, this is my main point, using your fitness is really important, whether that's going out in the backyard and throwing a football or playing football or soccer with your kids or going to play lacrosse, doing these things. That's what's really going to help a lot of these areas take care of themselves. The training is important, and I think that they all need to be hit, because I've audited other programs and seen like 20-1 in as far as the ratio from like, I'll just count. I'll be okay, sagittal, 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 and then like, oh, here's a transverse on the third week of the program on the third day. Like, you guys finally got there. And so we try to put that in to the programming a little bit more. But like I said, what you're doing is the more functional aspect of it, and I think that being able to play sport and having that movement practice beyond just what you do in training is really important for keeping you injury free.
Yeah, so plyometrics can be good to add in for warm-ups. I mean, because warm-ups, you're not doing anything heavy. You're just there for balance for different kinds of movements, which is really easy for warm-ups, and getting it also it'll get your heart rate up.
Yeah, and that second part of the question was really what are the benefits to this? And it's not necessarily like training energy systems where each energy system does a different thing and it has a different role and helps you with different activities. Like you're going to be strongest in the sagittal plane. Like that's just fact of the matter. And then a lot of the accessory movements operate in the other two planes. Now, someone could argue with me that that's not true, and I'm not trying to like say that's only ever how it works, but that's a lot of how it works. You can do a strict press in the sagittal plane, and then you could do lateral raises in the frontal plane, and then you could do around the world or whatever with kettlebell and just go full transverse plane there. But anyway, like a lot of the progress is made in the sagittal plane, and it's super important. And all these other things are more accessory work to make sure that we're going to keep you injury free. But they're not like these magical. If you hit these planes of movements, you're going to see this huge increase. It's basically how we get in some accessory work and how you, like I said, you prevent some injuries. But other than that, they're not super sexy, and that's about all there is to it.
Yeah.
I will say for further research on this stuff, where if you go to into3fitness.com/body-geometry or just Google body geometry into 3 fitness, we can provide a link as well in the show notes, wherever this is being published. And you can see our full article on body geometry. And there are multiple tenets to our body geometry. So it's progressions, contractions, and balance. And balance is the third piece that we have there that talks about these different planes of movement. Now, also important are the progressions and contractions. And so those are something that we can get into in later videos. Also, you can go read that article, but it's all very important to incorporate into a training program. And all those three things together, we call body geometry. So definitely go check it out. Anything else, Joe?
Nope.
All right, guys. Thanks for the question. Hopefully that helped. So thanks for listening as well. If you're listening via the podcast, and if you enjoyed the AMA, please 5-star review, positive comment, really helps the show out. If you're on YouTube, hit like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the content, where we can keep progressing, keep creating new things. And if you want to be a part of the show, go to garagegymathlete.com/AMA. We can answer your question and dive deeper if we need to. But other than that, thanks for listening or watching. I hope you enjoyed today's Ask Me Anything episode. So one more time, if you want to submit a question, topic, or idea, you can do so at garagegymathlete.com/AMA. And hey, while you're there, if you haven't already, sign up for Garage Gym Athlete membership. We are the best community and programming on the internet. I dare you to try and prove me wrong.